That some of you still joining, so I will just be ready to accept some people, and I just wanted to say a couple of words before we start presenting. At first, thank you very much for the time you spent on working. I'm really glad that you were able to create some really awesome ideas, and that you have created it for 24 hours. And yeah, so the end of work started. So we can't wait to see your project's presentation. We hope that all of you are here. I have received some videos, so I know that I'm going to show something. And yeah, after a presentation of your projects, the judges will take care of your projects and then to vote for the best ones. And I just want to remind you that at 4 p.m. Today we are going to reveal the results, and after that there will be some closing ceremony. And just to remind you, the 3 best projects will be announced by the judges and assessed according to the evaluation criteria. And also for the first place on the podium, the team is going to receive a gift card for Botland. So the electronic shop worth 300 zloty and $400 to split between teammates. For the second place on the podium, the team is going to receive a gift card for worth 200 zloty and $200 to split between teammates. And for the third place on the podium, the team is going to receive a gift card for $100 zloty and $100 to split between teammates. And of course, the BrainiHacks company offers special prize for a team whose project is especially worth attention for the company and the hardware support according to the probability of the project being applied in real life. So winner will be able to rent one of those sets for free for a month if making progress. The ranging the time can be extended to 2 months. So 2 sets had been offered, so Blinker and Perun 8 or Blinker and Perun headset. We are happy to have this the opportunity to give this special gift for our teams. And I hope that actually you are going to use it properly, so to create something great together. And also, I want to thank all of you guys for being here and for working for so long. Can't wait to see your presentation. So in 2 minutes, we are going to start with presenting. I think that I can go to the very first team to start preparing the presentation. So JaTeam, are you here? Can some of you share the screen?
Yes, hello.
Okay, hello, that's great, that's great. JaTeam, you may be preparing, and I'm leaving the voice to our speaker for today's session, Natalia. Natalia, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Thank you. Yeah.
This is the last day of our NeuroHackaTor, so we hope you had a good time and that those 24 hours were fruitful. That's 1 minute left, and just as a reminder, each team will have 5 minutes for their presentation. The order in which you will tell us about your projects is the same as the team's order on our event server on Discord. So I believe JaTeam can start now if you're ready.
Okay. Can you hear me and see this?
Yes, we can hear you.
And okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So welcome to our presentation. We will show you our take on improving human daily life functioning, especially for the elderly, using our application. What was our goal? We wanted to improve the safety of the elderly people, but we wanted to make something, design something that could be possible to make with the current technology. And at the same time, we wanted our invention to be as convenient as possible to use, so it wouldn't disrupt normal life. And the main function of our application is to read users' vitals in a non-invasive way. So heart rate, body temperature, and it would also collect signals from the brain. So it would process the data and detect or predict events like strokes, seizures, etc., and send early warnings or alerts to a selected family member, or in the worst case to the emergency service. So currently on the market there is something called there's a device called BodyTrack. It's used to collect vital functions, and it's designed specifically for physical workers. And our device would also collect EEG data, which would be an advantage in detecting and predicting paroxysmal events. So the things like strokes, seizures, and so because we want to help the elderly to get their help when it is needed. Okay. And we also have a system of reminders which you could synchronize with your calendar app, which would remind you with like audio communicates that it's time to take your medicine, or that you have some appointments today. So it would it's mainly like thought about people with memory problems, and we are planning on using a wearable ear EEG because in the ear area it's a very good location to collect both to measure the brain signals and also collect the like typical vital functions like temperature and heart rate. And it's also not really visible, so the users wouldn't refuse to wear it because it looks silly or something. So it's not, and it would also be just convenient to wear. The data would be sent to a phone, which would upload it to a cloud analytical server where it would be processed. Because using just the phone for the analysis might not be enough, and it would also needlessly increase the application size, and it would also probably drain the battery really fast. So to save some of the energy, we decided to use the Bluetooth Low Energy as the communication protocol. It's already widely used, so it would be easy to use it to communicate with a smartphone. And it would also help with the battery usage of both of the device and the phone. And because we anticipate that our main issue with all of it will be the power consumption of the device itself, because we need both power but also safety. So using a normal like lithium, normal batteries near your head may not be a very good idea. So we decided to use lithium ceramic batteries as they have the high capacity we need, but they are also safe to use near the human body, and especially the head, as they are bendable and they don't explode. And they are quite resistant. So to summarize, we are collecting vitals and brain signals in the near ear area, as it is the perfect place to do so. We use this data to predict strokes and seizures and other paroxysmal events. And then we can, by detecting it early, we can alert the family or the emergency service, so our user would get the help they need. And we also do all of it being as convenient as possible, and also using the technology that is more or less available today. Yeah, and okay. So we are basing mainly on those 4 papers about the EEG, detecting seizures, and the battery, the differences between the batteries. So that is all from me. Do you have any questions?
But what exactly have you done? Did you program anything? Is it anything that you can show that it works?
I'm afraid there is not much that we can show that it would work.
So this is just general idea, and you have no idea whether it will work at all, because you need some kind of well, extraction of a signal from this ear EEG to find out whether you can really predict all these things that you would like to predict. Or is there a proof for that?
In terms of the possibility, all of these things, these things are already being prototyped today. They are, I mean, the EEG are using generally just using EEG to detect seizures. We are basing the idea on the research papers about it, and at least according to those papers, they are like current engineers and scientists are having successes with the extraction of the data and analyzing it. But it's generally just a concept.
Okay, great. So are there any more questions, or are we able to move to next presentation? Yeah, I believe it's all when it comes to the questions. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Paweł, for this presentation, and thank you for preparing this this project, JaTeam. And the next team is GRIK, and it consists of cognitive and computer scientists from Adam Mickiewicz University. I believe they are not here with us right now, so we will show you their video of the presentation they prepared.
Okay, I just want to ask whether you can hear the voice, okay? Can you hear it?
No.
No.
Oh no. Wait a second, okay?
So you're here. Do you want to present, or?
No, because we prepared the video because we have special guests, as you can see actually on the screen right now. But if you if you present your screen, there's a switch somewhere, share with audio, and this should fix the problem.
I want to try to figure it out. Wait a second, okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, in the meantime, I have a question for you. Will you be able to answer the question that might appear, or are you not able to do any?
Yeah. It's not a problem for us. We just wanted to share this video, but we are here.
Great. Okay.
Is it better now? Can you hear it?
I believe not.
Okay, so if I may ask you guys to go to the next team, okay, and I will just try to fix it, okay?
Okay, so
because I see that you, yeah.
All right, so let's give Weronika some time, and the next team is the Prancing Seahorse, And I want to ask if you are with us because you sent us a Canva presentation as well as the video. So we are not really sure if you want to present live right now. Okay, I do not have a...
We are with you here, but we would like to go with the video presentation.
Okay,
just to stick with time and some other.
All right, I get it. So we will move to team 5, Geist, because team 4 is as well. Well, they are not here as well due to time differences. So Geist is another amazing team, this time from Gdańsk University of Technology, Medical University of Warsaw, and Warsaw University of Technology. They are studying medicine, mechatronics, and deep learning. So that's wow, great. And we have a presentation from you. Are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Okay, great. So the stage is yours.
Okay, so I hope now you can see the presentation. Okay,
yes, we can see.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm Ivo, and without any further ado, let's start our presentation. 2, 40, and 4. What are those numbers? They describe the epidemiology of the second most common neurological disease. The more prevalent are only headaches. This disease affects someone every 40 seconds, and every 4 minutes, someone dies due to this. What am I talking about? I'm talking about strokes. And those data concern only the area of the USA. For the whole world, the situation is much more dramatic, with 13 million new cases every year and 2.7 million deaths. Over 100 million years of health life is lost each year due to stroke-related deaths and disability. And what is the most important factor in the stroke treatment? Apart from standard care, like for each patient whose life is in danger, there is one more important thing. This thing is time. Why? Because the only result-changing treatment, which is TPA and thrombectomy, might be applied with a very narrow time window. For TPA, which is the most important procedure, this time is only 3 hours, and after this, it might even worsen the patient's state. And the faster we provide it, the better the outcome. But in many cases, we don't know that someone just had a stroke, especially when it happens at night. In this situation, we can only transport someone to the hospital without too much hope of good recovery. What can we do about it? I would like to show you what we believe is the solution to those problems. Early stroke detection system. How does it work? According to the literature, we can detect the stroke with EEG cups. But those cups are large, inconvenient, and no one would like to wear them every day for many hours. Therefore, we went a step further. We designed a 6-electrode headband, which might be conveniently worn during sleep. Here you can see these beautiful renders. And here is a description of our system. We have obviously the Bluetooth connection. We have the power button to conveniently switch it off and on. We have 6 electrodes with 2 reference, soft fabric cotton filling to just make it comfortable. All the wiring is in the filling. No hard parts are visible except of the electrodes, and hard electronics is the top just to make the sleeping as convenient as possible. We use semi-dry electrodes since they are even more convenient to put on and as effective as the wet one in our case. Okay, this looks beautiful, but is it effective? Yes, it is. We developed a machine learning algorithm with a complex data pre-processing pipeline which achieved accuracy of 92.77%. At first, we collect the signal from 6 electrodes with location shown previously. 2 of them are used to create reference signals by calculating the mean of them. Then the signal is fragmented into 15-second epochs, and we perform sub-band power estimation as well as relative hemisphere power. In the first process, we access the participation of each frequency from alpha, theta, and delta in the whole signal. And in the second process, we calculate the difference between hemispheres, since according to the literature, the brain symmetry index is one of the most important biomarkers of the stroke. Okay, Now you might think that almost 93% of accuracy sounds impressive, but it still might give a high false positive ratio if worn every day by everyone. What about that? And this is an excellent question, which we will also address. The first problem is solved by a constantly learning system. By collecting EEG data from each night, we can further develop classificators to find any unusual signals and adapt to noise of everyday sleep. And the problem of trying to make everyone wear it is also solved. We developed a dedicated application which provides another machine learning algorithm, which this time exceeds accuracy of 95% to predict who might be in the risk group. Here you can see the example of fulfilling the simple survey to receive the information about personalized risk. And if any danger event happens, the application will inform both the relatives as well as the nearest stroke ward, which is also another highly important benefit influencing the patient's outcome. And here you can see how this application works. After fulfilling all the data, you receive the personalized risk and information if you should wear this band. So, to summarize our idea and solution, we developed a beautiful EEG headband, which is very functional and reliable. We also developed the application which helps to fulfill the potential of our solution. And to go even further, it can be further individualized to adapt to every user. All the code and our solution are also sent to the judges. Thank you very much.
Okay, great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
What do you mean by 92% of accuracy? Accuracy of what?
It was tested on the dataset of 20 patients, which half of them had a stroke, and with
so one error will be 10%.
Sorry, what? Could you repeat?
If you have 10 people only with a stroke, so one error, one way or the other, will already be 10%.
Yes, obviously you pointed to a very important part of our work.
It's a very small sample of data. It's, well, okay. But
yes, like we find the literature, we also, first of all, we developed our own algorithm. We also find the literature which support the thesis about accuracy of over 90%. Unfortunately, most tests with detecting stroke in EEG are done with dataset of like 40, 50 patients, and this is the biggest dataset we were able to find. But there is a lot of data supporting the thesis that with further collecting the data, it's perfectly possible to do this, as we also shown on this small dataset.
But this data set is collected by you with your equipment, or is it just general data set?
No, it's not our data set. So
you don't know how your system will work, right? I mean, it looks very nice, right? But until you have recordings from your own system and you make tests, it's very hard to make any claims.
I mean, we adapted the available data to use only those electrodes which in the publication were described as useful. So we tried not to use all the 64 electrodes or something like that. We take the recordings of the strokes, selected only electrodes which we would like to use in our system to make it convenient. And basing on those selected electrodes, we showed that it's possible to predict strokes with, I believe, quite high accuracy. Obviously, if we want to use it in real life, it needs further development.
Hello, I have a question. Have you tried to record EEG during the night, like with such a headband or even a cap?
Unfortunately, we do not have the access to EEG on ourselves. I guess that you are referencing to all the artifacts which might happen during the night, because obviously someone is moving and the EEG is also moving. This problem is solved by the fact that we can, first of all, we want to minimize the time between the stroke and someone being in the hospital. We do not try to make the immediate notification, even if we minimize this time by notifying someone like 5 minutes later, it's still a great breakthrough. So to minimize all the artifacts, we can make sure that this strokes is happening by collecting the data not only in the 50 seconds epochs like we showed, but by, for example, averaging this over like 10, 20, even 30 epochs over the time of several minutes, which should be enough to minimize all the false positive alerts and also to minimize the influence of any artifacts during sleep.
Hey, I have a question. Are you interested in developing it further after the hackathon?
Yeah, I believe it might be really interesting, especially since systems similar to our idea are available. Like, for example, Parent 8 is also a wireless headband. So we believe that there is a potential to further develop this, especially since it's like we believe that it's a really needed solution because the problem of strokes during the sleep are really widespread.
Yeah, so good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Any more questions? If not, then thank you again for this presentation. And I believe Veronica solved the problem. So we might move back to the team GRIK presentation.
Okay, and just to be sure, this now it have to work. I mean, everything looks like it should. Okay, so do you hear?
Yes, we can hear.
Yeah, it's
Great,
okay.
great. Then I'm muting myself and let's watch.
Hi, I'm MetaHuman.
And I'm Verum.
And we are virtual avatars.
Last year, we became more popular than ever. People started relying on us to communicate, express their emotions, fears, and uncertainties related to the new normality. Some of us became VTubers. Now there are over 10,000 of us. People also use us in games, such as VR Chat, which currently has almost 30,000 players monthly.
Unfortunately, we face some adversities. It's still quite difficult to operate us. Especially changing our facial expressions poses a challenge. Some people still feel uncanny trying to interact through us. However, companies are trying to create some useful hardware. OpenBCI and Valve are on it right now, and GRIK team is trying to help us.
In the last 24 hours, they gathered EEG signals from their brains, which is so fascinating to me since I don't have a brain. They were also able to classify the signal and translate it into emotions. Then they created an app which can control our facial expressions.
Now we will show you how this thing works. Let's say the human who interacts through us, on the left, thinks about something sad. This is our reaction. From what the GRIK team told us, it's problematic to be fully immersed in the experience if they need to click on the keyboard to change the emotions on our faces. That's why they created a whole application, and they say it's easy to use. But it's hard for me to say, because I'm not a human.
Here are our friends to demonstrate how this works. Humans just open an app, personalize it, and it runs in the background, tracks their emotions, and changes our faces. And it's just this little window on the right side of the screen.
Mood will use an adaptive algorithm. The more you use it, the more accurate it is. It doesn't look for neural correlates of emotions, but instead it uses an SVM classifier that can differentiate between emotions based on crucial signal features, such as frequencies obtained from 8 frontal and medial electrodes. The pictures used for evoking an emotional reaction in the initial training datasets were from a standardized set with emotion names such as fear or disgust and descriptions of valence and arousal. For now, the app can recognize neutral states, happiness and sadness with above chance accuracy.
You might wonder now, who needs us, who uses us, who can afford us? The people who have VR sets and use avatars like us can't use any other method than EEG because of the headset placement. That's why mood seems to be the way to go. I like it, and I think that MetaHuman agrees with me.
If you still have some questions about what our creators managed to achieve over the last 24 hours and what is their vision for the future, don't hesitate to ask them.
Okay,
Hi,
great.
Human here, and this is a short technological demo of our software. What we have here is a classifier, and we will be running some example data through it to show you how we can detect and project emotions into our avatars. I've already inserted my key bindings, so the only thing left to do is to watch. In a minute, some notifications will pop up and the expression of the avatar will change. What is interesting is that we can provide the program some feedback by just changing the expression back. So for example, I don't think I'm sad, now I'm happy. And the program will detect that I clicked the key binding corresponding to the happy expression and will show information about it itself. What is also interesting is that we can just use this program in every other program if the key bindings are the same. Thank you for watching.
Does anyone have any question for our team?
Very nice avatars indeed. I played with that 20 years ago. That was way too early. But the question is it not much simpler if you have electrodes for the muscle artifacts, which will be placed rather in front, than to use EEG, where you can, capture just few emotions, and it's still not that easy to really distinguish them. So muscle contraction instead of EEG.
But shall we answer or? Okay, I think I can answer now. Yes, but we thought about gamers and about the headset that they had to have to wear in order to play the games. And that's why we decided to go with EEG, because with the headset, it's really heavy. Sometimes it can be heavy, and the muscles won't work correctly in that case.
Yeah, another thing which we kind of based all our rationale on was the element of immersion, which was really hard to achieve in general when you have to click the keyboard to change the expressions. So if you're in VR and you still have to look for the keyboards, it just won't make sense. So that's why, as Agata also said, if you're using the headset, it's impossible to use the information from the muscles.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions?
Well, I have one. How accurate is that, the emotion detection in the EEG?
Okay, so now we had yesterday we collected data from one person, and it was about 40 minutes of recording and about 400 pictures. The person looked at about 400 pictures, and now we have, like we said in the presentation, above average accuracy for two emotions, for happiness and sadness, compared to neutral So now it's not pretty great, but we have only one data that we collected ourselves from one person, and the whole idea is that it will learn based on what if a person will use our application that we provided the whole what is it called in Figma? Barbara?
It's called a mockup.
Yeah, we provided a whole mockup of our application for the judges. So if a person will use our application, it will learn according to this particular person emotions and feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing. And also what Kuba mentioned during the demonstration was that if the emotion detected is not the right one, let's say, the user can change it and the program remembers it. So it can also be used for, adaptive algorithms, which can then just improve the accuracy, the overall accuracy.
And if we want to talk about the values for 3 classes, we had the accuracy of 47%, where 33% is chance. And for 2 classes, we have the accuracy of 62%. So I think for data from one person, it's promising. Let's just say that.
Yeah, but we are aware that in order to apply it in real world, not only during this 24 hours, we would have to collect much more data and yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thanks a lot.
I believe that now we will move to team 3, the Prancing Seahorse.
Yeah.
And what I have to say about them is that it's a really amazing international team because there we have undergrads from Nigeria and master students from Poland and India. So it's great that you were able to work together. And now we will see what they prepared for us.
Okay, wait a second. Okay, so for now it should be okay. Can you hear it? Can you no hear? See it clearly? Everything is okay?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So I'm playing.
Hi, we would like to present you our product, which is Helper BCX. It is PCI system for stroke rehabilitation. It is made for contest NeuroHackaTor 2021. What's the problem? People after stroke have many problems to live normal life due to impaired motor control, general cognitive deficits, difficulties in generating or processing speech, and other resistance to live each day. It can lead to some mental dysfunction like depression, low motivation, rehabilitation, or poor self-esteem and feeling not worthy at all. Why do we need it? We need it for improving patients' motivation in stroke rehabilitation through gaming and movement imagination. In the result of neuroplasticity gained by the gaming experience, we are improving the whole quality of life. 30% of stroke survivors suffers from chronic motor disabilities, which are, for example, hemiparesis and hemiplegia, which are the most common disabling condition. Stroke is the 5th largest cause of death worldwide. Stroke corresponds to motor, cognition, and affect, on which depends many more areas of living. Our solution of it is to make a system, BCI system, for motor imaginary and gaming experience. The gaming environment is based on reward and boosting dopamine, and the whole rehabilitation progress dashboard. As you can see, there is a man who plays a game, and he's gaining experience through gaming. There are some main features of the game, which are earning reward, boosting dopamine based on number of birds killed, and is personalized. Difficulty levels of environment is based on previous performance. The person moves his hand and gains experience in the game He's playing and making fun, and his neuroplasticity is making much better scores. As you can see, there is a plot which showed the times and efficiency of working with augmented response. It's the effect which corresponds to boosting dopamine through gaining experience in the game, and its impact on neuroplasticity. His neuroplasticity is getting much better scores, and he is getting much better results through time. How to see the progress of rehabilitation? The metrics which estimates the progress of rehabilitation are motor function scores measured by physiotherapists, electromyography which measure arm signals and hand signals muscles, and general user opinion. Typical therapies test considered independence of performing many various movements, ability to stand, kneel, or sit straight. It is measured quantitatively, and the score can be compared between each test session. As you can see, there is the progress of user experience, and as you can see, the man, after so many sessions, in this example, there were 50 sessions, has gaining much more correctly moves with his hand along the marked path, and he doesn't touch the borderlines. The measure of performance is measured by accuracy score, and he is making progress through time. And as you can see on the right photos, the system, BCI, learns how to distinguish EEG signals of left and right hand. Here you have progress tracking dashboard, which show our interface, helper BCX, which show progress statistics, and many more. The BCI system collects brain signals, is processing it through signal acquisition, pre-processing, classification, and controlling the game through feedback control. Our implementation is uploaded on GitHub, and as you can see, there is a lot of machine learning algorithms which measure accuracy of the classification. Our target market are clinic physicians, physiotherapists, and post-stroke people's families. Future work will be predicting the behaviors of a patient, integrated with the hardware, and working on the interface. Our team is made by me, Milan, and Omobolanle, Saurabh, and Lawrence. This is our bibliography. Thank you.
Okay, I believe that some members of this team are here with us. So if anyone has any questions, now it's the time.
So what exactly the BCI controls? In just making the success easier for the players, or what does it do?
So it's basically like a therapy in which a patient will imagine the motor movements, basically the motor imagery, and from which we are controlling the game. So it's basically therapy which resides in the concept of neuroplasticity.
But from what you've shown, it looked like, well, people can move their hands because the tests showed that they move more precisely, etc. So if they still control the game by moving, and what's the the BCI signal? How does it help them? Still not clear about that.
No, the game is controlled by EEG signal and not the muscle or hand movement.
Oh, only by EEG signal. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have some questions?
I have a question. And do you do some kind of stimulation of muscles? Like, how does it do the rehabilitation part?
Yeah, the data which we consider, in which they stimulate the muscles on the left hand and right hand.
And what is the method for stimulation? Is it like vibrotactile or electrical?
Electrical.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Well, if not, then I believe we can move to team WashUNTX. They consist of undergraduate and master students from Washington University in St. Louis. And unfortunately, due to some time differences, they also provided us with a video presentation.
Yes, so I'm sharing it.
Hi, I'm Brendan Otani, and I'm a mechanical engineering major at Washington University in St. Louis.
And I'm Jake Joseph, a cognitive science major at WashU.
And our solution to the given prompt for today is the neuromodulation using real-time arousal classification, and it is to solve the negative effects of pandemic isolation with neurotechnology.
So looking at literature of COVID-19, what we've seen is that social isolation has been tied to increased amounts of anxiety in the population, and this has led to increased incidence of mental disorders. And there's actually been interesting work on the causal mechanisms of isolation in the brain, leading to actual increased chances of mortality and morbidity. And overall, this is seen throughout the entire global population, with COVID-19 and quarantine causing increased amounts of stress, depression, and anxiety. And we want to focus on anxiety, and specifically defining anxiety as a state of high physiological arousal. And we want to look at arousal and seeing how exactly we can define it using neural data, specifically EEG. So before we talk about EEG and arousal, we want to define the Yerkes-Dodson curve, which argues that there's an optimal amount of arousal for task performance. And if you have too much arousal, this leads to failure of task performance. And what's interesting is that when you have too much anxiety or arousal, this leads to too much arousal and poor task performance. And the goal of our solution is to create a BCI that can downregulate the amount of arousal for optimal performance and thus less anxiety. And there's actually a lot of ways in literature to classify arousal using EEG. Fowler et al. Used frontal central theta activity and noticed that it was causally linked to the anterior cingulate cortex, which is a hub for cognitive control. In Chen et al., they looked at these various electrodes in the frontal lobe, which is tied to the 1020 international system, and found increased off-wave activity when corresponding with positive emotions. And all in all, we want to find a way to classify arousal using EEG, using various machine learning algorithms.
In machine learning, classifying raw data is important. Machine learning classifiers are used to sort and process the raw data from an EEG. Time interval windows are used to compress the fast Fourier transforms so that we can classify based on emotions. Classifiers can be used on both deep and seeded data sets. The use of other biomarkers, such as heart rate variability or HRV, for higher arousal classification can also be used, as well as pupil dilation has been proven. Neuromodulation and neurofeedback. The goal for this is to use the output from the classifier to reduce arousal of the user. And so there's two interventions that can be used to notify the user of high arousal state. And that would be through a mental intervention or a physical intervention. The mental intervention is a cognitive task, either a hyperfocus or a distributed focus task, where their focus is either intensified or distributed to something else. And then for the physical intervention, it is a transcranial direct current stimulation to decrease the spontaneous cell firing. And that's just basically a hyperpolarization of the resting membrane around a neuron that decreases its excitability potential. And this has been used to treat mental disorders such as depression.
And given that we didn't have actual raw data to work with, here is a pseudocode of how we would implement this in Python or any other code. So first we would import the actual models we'd be using to classify the data. Then we would want to import the live data stream from the headset, and this would be EEG data and physiological data such as a heart rate band. And then we want to do a fast Fourier transform to compress the data so we can transmit it wirelessly to the phone device to process the data. Then we want to label the EEG data using the heart rate data So we would define the EEG data as high or low arousal based on heart rate variability. Once we have that labeled data, then we would place that into the model and train the model, and then we would test the model immediately using the untrained data, and then we would constantly upgrade and test the model until we have accuracy greater than 90%. And once we have a set model, we can move on to the next phase, where the program is constantly being fed live EEG data, where it has a binary output classifier, 1 if the user is in a high state of arousal, or 0 if it's not. And if the output is 1, we would activate the stimulation or neurofeedback, and the stimulation would be based off a function to make sure that the intervals don't get too high by counting for past intervals. And at the same time, we would pause constantly EEG recordings because the electrode is happening at the exact same time, which would bias the results. And here's just a quick design of what the headset would look like. It would be a simple one-channel design so the user can wear it at all times throughout the day, where you would have 2 cathodal and anodal TDCS electrons on the outside, which allow for a negative current to flow through the scalp. And then in the middle, you would have a gold cup electrode placed over FP2 on the frontal cortex, which is tied to locations of anxiety in the brain. And all at the same time, this data will be sent wirelessly to an app, which would neatly describe periods of stimulation, periods of stress, and a nice graph for the user to analyze. And that data will be sent back to the headset to indicate whether or not to stimulate in a nice closed loop system.
Here's a list of our references that we used throughout this project. And because we couldn't join you in person, here are our emails if you have any further questions. Thank you.
I have a question. So you...
Yeah, okay. There are unfortunately not with us right now, so it's great that you have a question, but can you please send this to our email or just write it down on this chat?
Okay.
And we will be sure to pass on to them. So if anyone else have any question, that the same thing goes to you. Because like I said before, they are not here with us due to some time differences, because, well, they are from Washington. And now we will move to team number 6, Machine Learning Journal Club first. And it's a team consisting of students from Italy, from University of Turin. They are studying physics of complex system, machine learning, biomedical, and artificial intelligence. So it's awesome to have you here. And are you ready to present?
Hi, we're ready. Yes. Can I share my screen? Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Perfect.
And we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
So we need a presentation. Okay, so if you can hear me, I can start to talk. So we are the first team from the Machine Learning Journal Club. And the project is Engagement is All You Need. We worked on the second project you gave us, the evaluation of the visitor experience by using the technology. So what we've seen is that the public of Italian Museum is a fascinating and still unexplored world. So first we started looking at some major works on statistics of a museum and the interaction of the population with the museum. We've seen, sadly, that only 34% of the Italian population actually goes to museum. And of these 34%, around 70 is in higher education, has been in higher education. Furthermore, we were also interested in the percentage of people with attention disorders in the population. And we have seen that around 3% of the Italian population suffers from attention disorder or ADHD. So related to our task, we detected 2 main problems. The first one is the difficulty for people with attention disorder to follow a museum visit, to dive into the museum experience. The second one, as you've seen before in the statistics, is that too few people actually go to museum. So our starting point for our idea is to adapt the user experience of the museum by perceiving how people interact to the artwork, how people like and simply by measuring the pleasure level of people towards the artwork, and also in particular to help the ADHD patient to get more involved inside the visit of the museum. We've talked with different curators of different museums in Italy, from the Uffizi in Firenze to the Galleria Pinacoteca Albertina in Turin. And in particular, we talked with Sonia D'Arcangelo, which is the responsible of a neuroscientific work on the Ultima Cena by Leonardo da Vinci, as you can see on the right. And what they told us is that a major factor in the engagement and appreciation of an artwork is related to its story and background. People, in simple words, people want to know what the artwork is talking about, and this helps them to appreciate the artwork itself. This is also showed by and confirmed by eye-gazing studies, which bring evidence to the fact that the attention of the visitors is pointed towards the caption of the artworks aside from the artwork itself, to the piece of art itself, as you can see. So we decided to create a workflow we thought about a workflow to improve the engagement of the entire visit to the museum through several steps. The first steps would be to extract the biosignals. The second step would be to estimate the appreciation of the visitors through these indexes, through these bioindexes. And then, thanks to these bioindexes, see how these indexes evolve over time, see how the pleasure, how the likeness of the person towards the piece of art evolves and varies over time. And then the final step, so the goal is to personalize the storytelling behind the artwork itself using natural language processing algorithm. So let's dive directly into the pipeline. Which kind of biosignal we thought that could be useful. We chose 3 biosignals by looking on literature, which are EEG signal, which is used to measure the motivation index. So the level of pleasure experienced by the user in looking at an artwork. And the second one is the eye tracking, which is also very popular, which analyzes which areas attract the most attention through heat map, focus maps, saliency maps. And last but not least, electrodermal activity through galvanic skin response, which allows to detect the impedance of the skin in order to detect the level of physiological activation or arousal. Talking about the brain's biosignals, so specific about EEG, we've seen some indexes on literature that could be interesting. The one that we thought was more interesting was the approach withdrawal indexes that uses the popular approach avoidance philosophy. And these indexes looks at both hemispheres, at the alpha waves in both hemispheres, by subtracting and adding the alpha waves at specific electrodes on the skin, on the scalp, sorry. And what we've seen by talking with Sonia and what we're expecting is that the engagement, the motivational index of the visitor changes over time. It goes down and up, but mainly from the studies that we've seen on the L'Ultima Cena by Leonardo da Vinci, after a certain time, it usually goes down. So what we asked ourselves is, how can we help the user to focus his attention, and how can we make his experience more immersive? Okay, I want to specify that our goal is not to force the attention of the user, but to adapt the immersive experience to his or her interest. How can we do this? We can do this through text summarization technique, which can use as a compression rate the bioindexes we talked about before. And of course, by adapting the text, by adapting the narration behind the artwork itself. Okay, so what kind of techniques or what kind of natural language processing techniques can we use to do this text summarization, which is not simply cutting the text in order to adapt it to the user interest. It is a real summarization of the text. So the state of the art use a transformer-based architecture, which is a problem because it is learned on, it is trained on large pre-trained model that use generic text. So a solution for this could be to use transfer learning and fine-tuning methods on caption dataset or museum dataset. For example, we've detected a few datasets that could be used, such as wiki art or web of gallery art. So a step forward, which could be both an alternative and also a combination to the text summarization technique, which use the motivational index, is to use the eye tracking of the user to understand where he's focusing on. So which details or which figure he likes the most, where his eyes are looking at pretty much. And the pipeline we thought about, the structure we thought about is this. So the core, as you can see on the top, is to estimate the compression ratio through the BCI engagement index and galvanic skin response in order to do caption summarization. Adding to this technique, we can also use the saliency maps to detect the region of interest and detect the object, as I said before, that are most interest the user. Then we can perform a name entity recognition on the text, and which can be used both to hide the caption summarization and also to search on a knowledge graph to give a better contextual information to the viewer. So basically, to show him what is interesting, to show him what he's looking at. Of course, what we are showing here this is simply the back-end infrastructure of our work. The computer-human interface could be adapted to different complexity level. For example, starting from this text shown on a screen next to the artwork or the piece of art, but it can also be used something more complex, such as virtual reality or a real conversational agent. We've evidenced some critical points in our work. These are just some of the critical points we've seen. The first one is this, some disorder, some attentional disorder or autism may require a multimodality approach, which should be further explored. And then being more specific, the usability and user interfaces could be a problem. I mean, the point is we asked ourselves, it has been done before. People have weared all this EEG, eye tracking, skin impedance electrodes, but are the visitor willing to wear 3 different kind of sensor during their visit in a museum? Could this be bad for their visit and their experience? And third, but not last again, is the budget. So how much a system like this could cost to the museum, and would the museum be willing to spend their money on such a thing? And also we thought about some future development. So far the idea is to use a threshold method to detect the motivational index and adapt it to the compression to text summarization. But we can also develop a machine learning algorithm to actually predict how the appreciation evolves over time and discriminate. Also, we thought that a further development of our work, of the data collected with our work, could be used to see if the question is there is a generalized appreciation of the people towards some artworks or towards other kind of artworks. And we can also readapt the museum spaces by using these motivational indexes, by using these data we collected. Of course, this is all a conceptual work. We didn't have access to any kind of data. And those are the references we looked at in order to claim our ideas. And thank you for your attention, the first team from the Machine Learning Journal Club.
Okay, great, thank you. Does anyone have some questions?
Well, if you want to summarize the description, you can just do it, offline, or experts may summarize that. Why would you like to do it with NLP, with a rather complex system, which is not as good as experts can do it anyway?
Well, the idea is not to simply summarize the text. It's not, we don't want to cut the text. I mean, don't want to do just simply create 3 different text lengths and then adapt it to the user interested. We would like to actually adapt the text to what the user is looking at, to the user attention, in order to use a natural language processing to do this, which I don't think it would be personally possible by simply having a different text example. That also, because the point is, what we don't want to do is simply cut the text. Okay, so we see the interest is going down. Okay, then let's cut the text and just show this one. We cannot the text has to be adapted to the situation, to the user, to the single user. So it has to be modified during the procedure.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions, maybe? Well, if not, then thanks again for your presentation, and we will move on to team number 7. LutraLutra is a team from University of Warsaw and University of Technology, and they are studying neuroinformatics. We are really glad to have you here with us, and if you are ready, then we will move to your presentation.
Yes, we're ready.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I will share the screen. Okay, is it now all on full screen?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Okay, so a few days ago, I listened to music on my Spotify account, and I had a really great morning, so I chose a joyful and energetic music. During my happy start of the day, a small idea appeared in my head. What if I can choose paintings in an art gallery or museum fitted to my mood? Our team has an answer for this need. Let us introduce you to MeMaker. Make your museum visit memorable. For most people, especially young, a museum visit is not a very memorable event. After leaving an exhibition, which was supposed to be inspiring, we tend to remember only a few masterpieces which drew our attention the most. What if there was a way to enhance this experience? With our app, MeMaker, every visitor will be able to choose the kind of experience they want to have. After you decide what you expect of the visit, a room with the exhibition will be set with your individual preferences in mind. Every work of art will be displayed on a high-resolution screen. That way, we can provide the flexibility which is essential for the personalized experience. The whole process is based on a biofeedback method. How does it work? Let us introduce you to the process. So firstly, the viewer goes to the test area. Here happens our calibration procedure. The viewer is asked to choose a preferred experience. It may be relaxing, learning, exciting, scary, etc. After that, we ask the viewer to put on the ECG collecting bracelet and a special glove to examine the galvanic skin response, and later maybe also a comfortable to wear EEG set. Next, we analyze the response to example pictures from the chosen category. Every picture has a set of features that we have in our database. Based on viewer results, we select the set of pictures that will be shown on the main tour. In our prototype code, we use the k-nearest neighbors method to classify the state of the possible visitors from his biosignals. We found the open dataset with people who watch demo clip in the first few minutes, and after that they watch 16 one-minute films with spiders. We classified the demo stage as flat fear and spider stage as fear. From the ECG and GCR of the participants, we can calculate heart rate from the first signal and mean from the second signal. And those two variables will create points of the two-dimensional space. Every point comes from the two previous stages and has class from them. From this dataset, we can divide our spaces to subspaces with k and n. At this point, we can classify the state of the visitor, for example, fear or not fear, from the ECG on GCR. Of course, in the future, we can make better classifiers based on other signals, such as EEG, temperature, respiratory EOG, and other algorithms, such as neural networks, spectral density, and dimensional methods. And also, in the future, classifiers will be get from experiments on the particular paintings from the museum. Our goal is to add another senses to the exhibition. Imagine a situation like this. You choose relaxation stimulation, and based on the biomedical classifier, you want melancholic landscapes. You approach a small painting of a forest with a wooden lumberjack hat in the morning sunshine. Suddenly, lights dim and change to a warm color. You can hear a stream with gentle whine in the background, and the air is now colder and moister. We can manipulate every sense for every painting to make the best possible stimulation. In addition, we want to make an inspiring adventure for everyone. We will try our best to provide you with the most unusual experience, but we will also take care of your safety and comfort. Thanks to the fact that all of the pieces of art are displayed on the screen, there will be no problem in viewing for disabled people, because you can, for example, adjust the height of the pictures for everyone. Our app, NewMaker, is an app for art galleries or museums, which want to make a special tool for every visitor with their personal needs. With new technologies and signals from our bodies, our team can make Spotify for paintings. Thank you very much. And you can find our bibliography in our GitHub repo, where you can find the prototype code as well. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for this presentation. Any questions?
So this is more for virtual museums rather than physical, real ones, right?
Let me answer this question. Hello. We were thinking about different infrastructures for modern museums, like high-resolution screens that would display pictures and paintings on those screens and modify them in real time.
But it's much easier to have a virtual museum, and there are quite a few now, where you can just go and maybe couple that with your ideas, how to select the objects of art that you want to view, because they're really big, and people usually have a chance to see a small percentage of what is displayed. So virtual museum will be fairly, well, natural, but in real museum, to replace the objects of arts with the screens, that would be very strange. I don't think anyone is doing that. People rather, you know, make a lot of effort to have the originals, not just the good copies, although sometimes they display good copies. Well, doesn't matter, but virtual museums may be a better target.
Yes, but we also wanted to focus on adding other senses to the exhibition, like smell, temperature, or maybe the air moisture, and yes, maybe some sounds to create the whole experience. And our museum is, if you of course choose the learning path there, then you can learn much information from this visit. But for other features of our app, it mainly focus on the whole experience rather than like the standard museum visit.
Okay, thank you. Somebody else has something to ask? All right, I believe not. So we will move to Team 8, Park Up. It's a team merging Poland and Denmark, and they are students from Adam Mickiewicz University and Technical University of Denmark. Unfortunately, they are not here with us right now. So if you have, if you will have, oh,
sorry,
you're
we
here.
are here, but we sent the video. So
okay, great. We believed that if you send the video, then you will not be here. But it's great. So we will show you video right now, and afterwards you will be able to ask questions.
Lull. Calm or sent to sleep, typically with soothing sounds or movements. COVID-19 pandemic shocked the whole world dramatically. Of all groups, the youngest are often the most neglected ones, not appearing in the media nor political discussion. Sadly, isolation, hours in screen time, or lack of physical activity and social connections are threatening to have a devastating legacy on the children. One of the major problems which children happen to deal with is sleep disorder. 7-year-old Sarah suffers from regular nightmares, poor quality sleep, constant tiredness, and deficiency in motivation and restlessness. She also struggles with keeping her bedtime schedule, being up late and sleeping in. Prolonged isolation makes her more anxious and easily irritated. She is one of many young people having a hard time with accustoming to a new alienating environment and trying to cope with duties which they are not prepared mentally to. That's why we have decided to create LUL. To improve children's sleep quality, we use a special vibrating mat, active learning app, and adaptive therapeutic bedtime storage system, reviewed by experts like psychiatrists, created to induce calming effect, decrease stress, and to strengthen the parent-child bond. Our solution contains both hardware and software components. Apart from the actual mat placed in the bed, we will also have a component for acquiring biosignals, as well as a dynamic data processing unit. The data that we will use is widely recognized in many polysomnographic studies and contains the following signals: cardiac rate and rhythm, pulse oximetry, EEG, motion with the use of accelerometer and gyroscope. As we are aware that some signals are harder to obtain than the others, for example EEG versus cardiac rate, we will allow our data analysis to be performed with the user's selected number of signals. There are many products on the market already that make data acquisition process easier. Therefore, we would like to use the tools that users have access to already and integrate them into our solution via the use of API. As for the data analysis and data processing, we will rely on the time series analysis on the biosignals, which may be supplemented with the information about the phone usage and screen time exposure. In our solution, we will combine classic machine learning classifiers together with more powerful deep learning models. The outcome of the analysis will provide an answer to various questions, such as identification whether the person is sleeping or not, the stage of the sleep, or whether the pattern of movements and the cues indicates that the child is having a bad dream. If the classifiers determine such a need, the vibration feedback will be provided to the user from the mat. We focus on three main features of our solution. We want to help children relieve their fatigue and improve their quality of sleep by the following actions. We want to propose a program that makes falling asleep easier and makes the parent-child bond stronger. We want to monitor the alertness of a child when the parent reads them a good night story and actively adjust its content to the alertness of a child. For instance, when the child becomes too aroused, we aim to decrease the state by providing slower than heart rate, low frequency vibrations, along with smooth transition to alternative, shorter story ending. By monitoring the movements and physiological signals during the sleep, we can see whether the child would wake up during the night that might impair their well-being, or whether they have bad dreams. In the case of the bad dream, the mat may induce a gentle vibration feedback strong enough to interrupt the nightmare without waking them up. As for unexpected wake-up during the night, it may help in falling back asleep with the vibrations of properly adjusted rhythm and frequencies. In both cases, the sleep activity can be reviewed and analyzed by the parent in the mobile application. They will have access to the raw signal and the interpretation of the algorithms, along with the actions performed by the mat. At last, we would like to promote a pleasant wake-up experience and go beyond the mat functionalities. We are thinking about combining the analysis of the biosignal for the awakeness detection with the smart home light systems to automatically light up the room, supported with awareness-inducing vibration feedback. This mechanism is also helpful in the evening phase, being able to gradually dim the light as the child falls asleep. LUL is using a similar range of biosignals as other sleep trackers popular on the market. Nevertheless, it's one-of-a-kind solution because none of existing sleep analyzing devices is able to make such a cohesive and versatile combination of three distinct features, resulting in profound impact on sleep quality and long-term stress reduction. Our sleep models detect precise sleep events related to children's alertness and stress levels. Sleep events are the basis for active feedback that reacts in various ways to adjust the stimuli according to the child's needs. All elements combined create a regulation system that integrates numerous stimuli to provide extensive care over the child's proper sleep. Good night.
So, any questions?
Yes, I have a question to ask. I heard about Muse, that is a headband, and it also has some EEG-powered sleep tracking insights. And I think that, yeah, this project made it a little bit farther because it considered children. My question is, did you know about Muse when you were developing your project?
So I can answer it. Yes, I think at least I am aware of the existence of the Muse headband, but our project, I think it actually builds up on the elements that are already existing on the system, because it provides this feedback element when it comes to the vibration. So in this way, we can complement what is already being done with some new functionalities and with a new software also, like for example, the one that comes to this therapeutic storytelling and bedtime stories before going to sleep. As we are not really trying to create anything new or anything very revolutionary, but we're just trying to combine the pieces that are already on the market and put them in a good use, so to say.
Okay, that therapeutic thing is really news, and thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Okay, I have yet another question regarding the practical aspects of using it. Like, let's suppose I have a child, and each night, each evening, I need to put on him or her tachygraph, electrocardiograph, or EEG band as well. And it seems a bit complicated to solve sleep problems. Instead, I would prefer to contact the specialist and maybe to prescribe some medications or so. And also, child sleep patterns seem to differ from adult patterns. Children have like a lot of daily sleep or so. And have you considered also that the children's pattern are different?
Yes, so just to refer to the first part of the question, like putting all of this equipment on the child, we of course, I mean, we are aware that it is a problem and nobody really wants to, like sleep covered in cables. But that's why we sort of considered like the solutions that are available already on the market. For example, one of the things that we've shown, maybe we didn't make it so explicit, is the Xiaomi Mi Band, which is just a wristband that can actually collect all of this information, which is not that invasive. Another thing is that we could, for example, just get rid of the whole processing unit if it is something that doesn't fit the parent's needs or the parent's preferences or the child's preferences. And for example, just combine the bedtime stories with a certain patterns of soothing vibrations that are sort of like predefined. So they are a part of the story. So the story is extended by some kind of a haptic feedback. And then when it comes to the changes like in the sleep patterns for children and adults, we considered it, and we specifically looked for the data set that involves mainly data from sleeping children. And we managed to find one. And it seems to be like a very extensive data set with a lot of experience, with a lot of data, and very densely annotated in terms of the features and events that it provides. So it seems like it could be a starting point for us to actually develop the solution further.
Okay, great. Thank you for the answer. And I have only one remark regarding consumer technology. Like, when it comes to such consumer wristbands or smartwatches, they sometimes restrict the use only to adult population. So you need to be cautious and to read the regulatory terms of use of their product, because it is not uncommon to exclude children from such population of users, because children's patterns are quite different. So you need to take it into account while considering some like multi-level approach to this project. But the project is very interesting, and I wish you good luck with developing it.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for this remark.
we will take it into account for sure.
I wanted to add one more thing to the previous question. It's about rehabilitation and the coping with sleep problems with the child. I think it's worth to disclaim that we are not trying to replace with advice. We're not trying to replace it with professional healthcare and professional psychiatrist care, and it's. I think it's obvious. It should be priority. Our concern is more about relaxation, and I think it should be helpful with stress relief and calming. Thank you. Just as a disclaimer.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we will move to next team, which is GoodSense, and it's a team of Polish students from University of Sheffield and University of Technology in Warsaw. So we are really happy to have the opportunity to host you here, and I see that you're ready to present your idea.
Hi, yeah, we are here and we are ready. First of all, let me say that I think on behalf of my team, we are really excited to be here and really humbled by a lot of presentations that we've already seen. And our project is going to focus on something a little bit different that we've seen already. And you can see on the pictures here what are the two main topics that we've chosen to work at. One is obviously the brain, and the other is the city and urban environment. You can see on the right picture the layout of the city. And the reason for that is not only our personal interests, but also the phenomena that we observe globally. So we can see that there are some really pressing issues happening right now globally, and one of them is the very rapid urbanization. It's already been researched that right now the majority of people, for the first time in the history of humankind, is living in the urban setting rather than rural, soothing, green areas. And by 2050, as much as 2/3 of people will be living in cities. So it's becoming really important to understand how does it affect our daily living. And unfortunately, a lot of research has already shown that urban surrounding elevates the risk of mental illnesses by as much as 40%. To be more precise, mood disorders can be mental illnesses can be up to 39% elevated, the chance of them happening. Anxiety up to 20%. Living in cities doubles the risk of schizophrenia. So it's been, and all the mental issues has already been very bad. That the World Health Organization has proclaimed depression to become the first most pressing health problem globally. And it's been only made worse by the pandemic. So we thought that actually answering this question is really pressing. And it's already been researched that there is this direct link between built environment and mental disorders. So we started to think, how can we tackle this problem with the help of neurocognitive tools and technology? And to approach the subject, we had to tackle three main questions. One is, how can we actually measure the emotions in space and what factors are influencing it? The other is if we can create a sort of emotional topography of the city. And the third one is, how can we respond to this gathered data and personalize the solutions to make the urban space inclusive for everyone?
Another aspect besides depression is too much sensory data that are the stressors for us. What we wanted to say using that quotation is that people who are elders nowadays are not into technology, and that we are future elders. That was one of the start points of our project development. Also, the differences and being neuronally atypical. So that is why this whole project is inclusive. Even if it's not the fault of the city, Green affects the well-being, but we have a shortage of it in urban space. The noise of the street music, although sometimes music can be that can have positive influence, it is extremely individual and also can litter the public space.
Okay, so we are very happy to propose a solution for this. In this diagram, you can see what our system is basically doing. In the middle, in the green, you can see the server, which processes the data from the left. That is the data collected from environment, and psychophysiological data collected from user's app, if an user has one. Because we provide it for both the app users and for people that are, let's say, anonymous. And it outputs the comments and the data to the right, that is the boxes in blue, and it affects the very environment itself. We are mostly thinking about small spaces like rooms, condos, and something like this that you can walk into, and we call them mood shelters. Because you can recharge your battery over there if you're overstimulated, if you're anxious, if something's wrong, we can do something to ease you. So yeah, this is so the data collected from the environment consists from the data that are collected via microphones in public spaces. So we can measure the amount of noise. We can measure also the pitch of the voices. If they are higher, probably we can use machine learning to find if there's higher stress levels from cameras that detect the movements and assert that if someone moves in a certain way, that means probably that the person has these feelings or has these problems or is in that mood. Also, we collect the data from the phone app, which is EEG, which is pulse data, which is the personalization data that user has entered, and it outputs to the environment, which is as I said, the mood shelter, where we can adjust some parameters like lighting, like display art. We can change the music according to the person's taste. And also, it collects the data about specific places and outputs them to a data analysis server, which afterwards can show why some places have worse features than others, and how it affects moods, and what can we do to fix it. Okay, I'm finished. Thank you.
Our project is about passive individualization and active individualization of the environment around us. What can be changed in space, for example, covering the curtains when it comes to the public space, road closures for car traffic, more wide urban pacing, decentralization, creating parts of cities with a uniform functional structure are available both for futurists or traditionals when it comes to a calming space. This is how we connect with others. We also will be them one day. You could see the visualization of the possible passive individualization space, and I will talk about it on the next slide. So please move on. We can influence temperature, air quality, light intensity, and its colors, exposure to nature or art, silence or appropriate music. But in that perfect conditions, when it's one person, we can measure things from the sensors like eye tracker, body postures, sensors, and etc. When that space will be with more people, it would be average conditions. There is a conflict because when it comes to public crowded space, that average would satisfy no one. Like it wouldn't be inclusive.
So I would like to invite you for a short walkthrough of our prototype app that we suggest. So let me start it. Okay. So This app takes the idea of emotion-based discovery of different places. It will let you see the city's emotion map and will bring you to places which are adequate to your mood. It's flexible and it could change in order to be accessible as possible, like colors, and have a spoken version. We could plug it into different devices in order to, for example, adjust the sensitivity of the hearing aid based on the correlation between the sound of a conversation and the peaks in cerebral activity. We could also use that app for early screening tests for dementia. Here Krzysztof comes in.
Okay, and here is a feature we are very proud of, that based on your mood, that is, if you're feeling anxious or if you're feeling exploratory or you just want to do the things the quickest way, can propose a path from you to the point you are trying to go to. Okay, and here we are showing other features that we can manually adjust it. Here are the outputs of the sensors, because we are nerds and we want to show and look at stuff like this. And this is a feature that senses that you're getting tired and proposes a break for you. We can also have many other messages like this, but we chose to show this one.
Okay, so in our team, we put great effort on data transparency. So unlike the big IT companies like Facebook or Google, we don't hoard the data to ourselves, but we aim to make it available both for scientists with the use of open databases in order for them to be able to test different scientific hypotheses. And that's very important for lay people in the form of easy to digest visualizations. This information about, for example, the distribution of different mental and mood states around the city can be used then to target, to better target social interventions, to design better public spaces, but also to track the spread of negative and positive effect in real time. So this is perhaps the task for future psychologists, to use this data to develop dynamic interventions that will modulate the mood of the social body. Of course, at the start, there won't be many data points, so the precision with which we can estimate the mood state in a certain district will not be as great. But we hope to make it more and more precise as time goes on, and maybe at some point this could allow for TV mood forecasts for the next days or something like that.
Okay, I have just one remark that your time is up, so I would like you to sum up your presentation.
Okay,
Right.
this is the last slide. So yeah.
Great.
It's about different types of sensors and their possibilities. So you can see the mood temperature sensors, but I would like to say also about mood research as an indicator of places that need changes. For example, pluripotent intersection that will have more negative emotions scanned from our app. It will be a place under a magnifying glass to change. Also, because we're out of the time, I would like to sum up possible sensors that we could use. Is like eye tracking, body posture, and it also could be when it comes to that shelter spaces that will be in the public, widely crowded areas in order to be a solution for a quiet space that become a place with that perfect conditions for a person, and could also be a place to meet other people, like a small group. So besides eye tracking, besides body posture, besides temperature of the body, we would also measure voice and emotions. and our app could be like switched, paired with some Muse bands or Xiaomi wristbands, so it could also measure EEG. That is why it could really improve human beings in a way.
Okay, thank you for our presentation. We would like to leave you with our little interactive Shiny app that can show you how those different mood states can be tracked around the city. Thank you again. This is our team, and thank you for your patience in listening to our presentation. Thank you.
We are very sorry for exceeding the time.
Okay, no problem. Does anyone have some questions? But we have time for one, most two, if that's okay.
Well, Professor Lewicka runs an interesting project which is very much connected to what they try to do. So maybe they should look at what our psychologists are doing at University of Nicholas Copernicus.
Great, thank you. We will.
Okay, so if there is no one else who wants to ask about something, we will now move to number 10, NeuroTechSC. It's a team from University of California, and we are quite amazed by the fact that they were able to deal with time differences, and they are here with us right now. So if you're ready, then we will start your presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Callie and I'm part of NeuroTechSC. Today we're presenting DeepFlow, an app that keeps users focused on their task. Since the pandemic has begun, millions of students have transitioned to online learning, which has led to a decrease in learning efficiency. One of the largest contributors is the loss of concentration during class, leading students to miss important material and due late for assignments. The lack of focus caused by both external and internal distractions also causes students to turn work in late or even not complete it at all. E-learning is mentally straining as well and often leads students to be less motivated to do schoolwork. And even if they do, the material is not permanently ingrained in their memory. Our app, DeepFlow, strives to alleviate the mental fatigue students have from online learning and keep them focused on their task, so they can complete their work on time with as little anxiety as possible. DeepFlow does this by measuring the brain waves in the user, and when low gamma waves with high alpha waves are detected, the user gets notified to focus on their work. Here, we have a demonstration of how DeepFlow works.
Our test subject has spent the last 10 minutes reading an ebook. However, in the last minute, his focus wavered away from his ebook, leading to a somewhat noticeable change in brain activity averaged over that minute. Now, the subject has refocused his attention on the ebook. The Cyton board is currently recording his brain waves, then the web app will update his focus level in addition to the brain activity graph. As you can see, his focus level has now changed.
Here is an example of the results of our EEG signals. Orange represents gamma waves, red represents the beta waves, and blue represents the alpha waves. As mentioned before, high alpha waves and low gamma waves means the user is not focused on their task at hand and is distracted. At this point in time, the user would get a notification telling them to focus. When gamma waves are high and alpha and beta waves are low, the user is focused on their work. Here's the flowchart for the app. To begin, electrodes are placed at the FP1, FP2, O1, O2, T5, and T6 area of the head, and brainwaves are recorded with the Cyton board. The data is sent to the back end of the web server, and the front end plots the waves as well as detect changes and correlation with focus and concentration level. If it is detected that the user's brainwaves have dropped below a certain threshold, it is determined that the user is not focused. A notification is sent to the user, reminding them to eliminate the distractions around them. Otherwise, If it is not detected that the user is distracted, they are deemed to be focused on their task. To ensure that our application was working the way we wanted to, we also used professionally taken data to confirm that our results were consistent. The graphs here show a randomly selected sample with the student that begins in a non-focus state, then transitions to a focus state. There was a similar trend found in our data where when gamma waves increases as alpha and beta waves decreases, focus level increases. The technology we used was React to create our user interface. Python 3 was also used for data cleaning as well as data visualization and analysis. We also used an 8-channel OpenBCI Cyton board to measure brain activity. As our app is not the best it can be, we hope to make it better by collecting data with less noise. We also hope to improve our algorithm in a way that the difference between the state of focus and distraction is clearly defined. Finally, we want our interface to be more user-friendly, which can be done by making it more like a game or even adding features such as GIFs, encouraging text, and tips on how to focus. Here's everyone that contributed to the project as well as the link to our GitHub repository. These are the sources we use to help with creating our app. Thank you for listening, everyone, and the opportunity to participate in this hackathon.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Some questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Great presentation. How do you differentiate when you record gamma waves that it's not like a muscle artifact, or it's high frequency? So how do you make sure that it's a brain activity that you are looking into?
Like, how do we measure it's not noise? Well, yeah, that was definitely something that we had to take into account. So yeah, we realized that there might be some of the high activity waves might be because of our electrode placement and the fact that we use tape to attach them to the user's head rather than glue. And that could cause some discrepancies in the data, which is why we made sure to double check our findings with some professionally recorded data that use 64 channels using glue. So we knew that our findings would remain consistent.
Okay.
Does anyone else have something to ask? I believe not. So now we will move to the second machine learning journal club. It's another team from University in Torino, in Italy. So if you're ready, then the stage is yours.
Yeah, I'm going to share the screen. And okay. So, hello everyone, we are the ML2C, the second team deployed by the Machine Learning Journal Club, and we are glad to present to you Listen to Your Brain, experience well-being, rediscover nature in one single step. The coronavirus disease raised a flag over a widespread and dangerous problem, which is the isolation. However, aside of the pandemic, this problem affects the everyday life of some people and can seriously damage both the physical and the mental health. So how can BCIs help in finding a solution? Well, if you can go outside in the world, just bring the world inside with you, or at least its melody. We have a twofold goal. First, exploring the impact of natural sound. Sorry, they are saying that it's not okay. Sorry for this inconvenience. Okay. Can you see the presentation now?
Yes, but not full screen.
Now?
Now it's
Now
fine.
it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Sorry for the inconvenience. I didn't notice. I haven't the chat. Okay. I'm going to start from where I left. So we have a twofold goal. The first is exploring the impact of natural sounds on the alpha waves as possible support to depression recovery. And second one, the designing a user-friendly devices for daily neurofeedback on the mental health. As said, our targets are not limited to the pandemic isolation. Just think about the hospitals, the prisons, or simply all the elderly and people with Parkinson's disease that are alone and don't have a proper physical mobility. We want to address as much kind of isolation preventing direct contact with the world. So we began our research and found out that anxiety and depression can decrease alpha waves activity. We also found out that the health benefits of natural soundscape and, as common knowledge, that meditation and yoga can increase brainwave activity. You can see how depression deeply influenced the alpha-1 and especially the alpha-2 brainwaves, both over the parietal and occipital region. Our approach is simple. What we know is that isolation correlates with and enhances depression, anxiety, and psychophysical imbalance, which decrease, as we saw, the alpha waves activity. We also know that natural sensory stimuli, in particular sounds, can mitigate those symptoms. So what if we use the alpha waves brain activity to give a neurofeedback to trigger some natural sounds to mitigate and treat the isolation symptoms? To do so, we wrote down a pre-processing protocol in order to read those signals. We are going to use 3 channels located in the occipital area to capture the alpha-1 and alpha-2 waves. We have listed also some methods to remove the majority of the artifacts and put a threshold to indicate when to reject some data. We also structured the neurofeedback sessions. So when the alpha waves activity drops, the reproduction of natural sounds starts. We found that water and chirping birds are the most effective ones. So 1 or 2 sessions per week, 30 to 60 minutes long each, and the effects are meant to last until the following session or the end of the isolation period. The standard procedure in neurofeedback protocol is to form 3 groups, the test group, the placebo group, and the control group. And in this case, the placebo group is receiving the same sounds independently from their brain activity. But what if we could go beyond the standard neurofeedback protocol and take a step further? Well, I'm proud to introduce to you the egg. The egg is a small, simple device consisting in an elastic headband on which are attached the electrodes and the bone conduction headphones to monitoring brain activity and reproducing the sound. Everything is activated by our egg, a small, practical, egg-shaped, as you may have guessed, case that works just as every earbuds case you can find in the market, with a big, bright green button on the top that allows the start and stop of the device. The key points of our device are soon explained. First, as you saw, it's comfortably wearable and it's compact but not small. Then some people have sickness or equilibrium trouble due to in-ear headphones. No problem. As I said, we put some bone conduction headphones on for them. Also, we look close to the elders to not leave them behind. Yesterday, for example, we interviewed a manager here in Italy of an elder association, and she said to us that the major problems that elder found interfacing with the neurotechnology are the voice commands and the lack of feedback. So guess what? This device has an extremely simple interface. There's no need of voice commands, no need of apps or anything else. Basically, it's elderly proof. Not only that, it's all controlled by that button that you see. It's only activated when the button is pushed. The user can hear the click when they push it. They can see the light turning on. And basically, the user has complete control over it as possible. The device simply monitors the alpha wave activity. When it's too low, the light becomes bright green, and the headphones start playing natural sounds. When the brain waves return to a normal level, the music slowly and gently fades out.
We are eager to find out if this approach could bring any more insights into the neurofeedback field, and we hope that this device could inspire the next generation of EEG caps for the everyday use. So thank you very much for this amazing opportunity. We had a lot of fun working on these topics, and my team and I would like to wish everyone a good luck for all your future projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If anyone has some question, now is the time to ask.
Do you know the Melomind? The Melomind is basically a headphones that play music and looks at EEG and alpha, and seems to be very similar idea. And it's a commercial product, actually.
Well, that's really nice, but I assume that that is some kind of in-ear headphone. All right.
Yes, it's a headphone, and it doesn't have a nice green button.
Okay. Well, we put that green button not just for show and to look like an egg, but we know and we are convinced that also having visual feedback plus the auditory feedback could really improve the neurofeedback process.
And how did you think about the band? Because all we know about the devices which basically exist with the band, we know the band get like for some of time it's just developed very fast, like it's just used in a time, so it can be like no working in 1 year or be too much stretch to work good. Also how you can basically like watch the device, and the main question mine is how you try to put the cables through that band which is flexible, so you can basically get the cables around the head from the amplifier.
Okay.
What is the solution for that?
So there are two questions, as I understood. The first one about the band. It's a simple, really, it's a simple elastic band. Maybe we could go into some more detailed structure about it. But we thought of the most simpler and, of course, less scarier for the everyday public. Headband to put the EEG cap, and also about the cables, we are sending the data using the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi network to the egg that also is the one responsible for the analysis, the pre-processing analysis, and giving the right feedback. So there are no cables.
So how? Yeah, I see that there are not cables in the headband, but there are few sensors in the headband. So how the sensors in the headband communicate with each other? This is what my question was.
How they can communicate? Okay. So
so we've got 3 or 4 sensors around the head, on the band, and the band is stretching, and the cables basically are not stretchable, and we know we need superconductive cables for the EEG and measure all that stuff to get accurate data and signal to noise ratio. So I'm just super interested.
I didn't understand your question. Sorry. It's simple enough. You can put the cables like this. So doing a zigzag. Okay. In this way, you can put it inside the band or outside if you want. In this way, even if you stretch the band a little, just enough to fit the head, the cables are able to not stretch, but are able to be connected between each electrode. And that's it, basically. So there are other devices that uses these. They use this kind of trick. So they are not straight cables. They are put on a zigzag, basically.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone else have more questions, or can we move on? Okay, I guess that means we can move to next team. Thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the next team is BrainiHacks. They are Polish and Dutch students. And if you're ready, then we can start your presentation.
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Great. Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Amazing. Okay. Which one do I have to click on? Your full screen or a window when I present? Or one tab? Can anyone help me? I'm presenting for the first time with...
It doesn't matter, actually.
Okay.
It depends on what you are showing us.
Ah, okay. I think, yeah. Oh, wait. Sorry. I'm not used to this platform. Okay. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see it. If you could go full screen, it would be great.
Oh, yeah, of course. Is it full screen now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything is
Okay.
great.
Sorry for that. Okay, so hello everyone. We are Team BrainiHacks from the University of Amsterdam. And today we want to present our project on closed loop auditory slow wave sleep stimulation to improve sleep quality in older adults, or for short, SLOOP. So sleep, although it might first appear as a period of just non-activity, is actually a very vital process that is absolutely crucial for many components, such as boosting the immune system, memory consolidation, getting rid of and preventing neuroinflammation. Unfortunately, as we age, we encounter kind of more problems with our sleep, such as general disturbances such as fragmented sleep or insomnia, as well as generally decreased slow wave sleep. So this kind of deep sleep with a lot of delta activity. And because this sort of sleep is very crucial for memory consolidation and other cognitive processes, we also observe decreased cognitive performance during the day. So here is where we come in. We'd like to introduce SLOOP, working title, which is an interface that connects your smartwatch with your wireless headphones or earphones. So the most modern smartwatches nowadays detect things such as blood oxygenation, movement, so acceleration, as well as heart rate, and these can actually be used to kind of detect sleep stages. So what SLOOP will do will these measurements from the smartwatch will be sent in real time to the kind of app, which will then classify whether we are currently in, for example, light or deep or REM sleep. And when deep sleep, so slow wave sleep, is detected, the headphones will start playing this sort of acoustic stimulation. So this kind of pink noise, as it's called, to kind of boost slow wave oscillations. And this, what we're actually describing, is not necessarily novel because it has been used quite in a lot of research. However, what we are proposing is like a portable, non-invasive, and most importantly, affordable version of it. So as you can see, the prototype of the UI is really nice and simple because we are aiming for elderly consumers. We want an interface that is very simple, not very complicated, has large buttons and large labels. The first layout is really quite basic. However, advanced features such as maybe looking at your sleep stats or changing the volume of the audio manually is located in further menus. So now one of my group mates will briefly talk about the classification.
Yes, thank you. So the kind of idea that we went for with Sloop is to design a system that inherently already has a classifier for using smartwatch data, but that could also interface with different kinds of classifiers. So if you would have an app already that's like detecting which sleep state you're in just based on sound or any other thing, that should be able to hook into the Sloop app. So as you can see here, we have like the native interpretation and then possible use of other apps or possibly even use of EEG classifiers. And all of those classifications can just be sent to the app, and then the app uses the classification to like start or stop the audio.
Can I continue?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, thank you. So unfortunately, in those 24 hours, we didn't get like working prototype, and we unfortunately didn't have a chance to test it on elderly people. However, based on what existing research has said, our solution has the potential to really enhance slow wave activity in older adults, as well, which pretty much enhances the overall sleep quality. So makes you wake up more refreshed and energized. We don't want to be, very predatory. There is some. It's possible that this sort of auditory stimulation may also improve memory next day, or memory consolidation. However, more research is needed. But we generally think that if someone wakes up feeling more energized, then probably cognitive functioning the next day will be better overall. So thank you so much for listening.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Does anyone have some questions?
Yes, I really appreciate the UI of your application. It's really simple, and I think that it's very intuitive. So it's good for elderly. But I have the same remark as I had earlier regarding the sleep, enhancing sleep in children, among children. There is the same case that if you are about to use wearable technology or some consumer tech, which is acquiring biosignals, then it's the same issue that it's sometimes less validated among elderly as well as children than on adults in age range from 20 to 50 or 60 years old. So it's only a remark regarding the issue of just using wearable tech, consumer tech with their predefined algorithms for that purpose. But overall, the project is very, very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Why do you think it will enhance deep sleep?
So here I have to, my answer will unfortunately be because I was told that during my lectures. I don't really know the underlying kind of biochemistry behind how auditory stimulation enhances slow wave oscillations, but I know that it is something that is being done in labs, and that this sort of stimulation has been proven to enhance this activity. But I don't really have my specialization mostly in more kind of general cognitive neuroscience rather than this very low level activity. So I can't tell you, unfortunately. how
So
that happens.
You don't know what kind of acoustic stimulation that should be, right?
Oh no, we do. I have talked about it. It's when we did research about this, it's like a specific kind of white noise of like a specific frequency. And what in the, I think maybe Dan can say more about this, but we actually did prepare like a sample of this kind of noise in our materials.
Yeah, so it's pink noise actually. It's like I suppose it's like white noise, but it's mainly in the lower frequency spectrum. It's like very prevalent in nature. And when you listen to it, it kind of sounds like wind or rain outside, something like that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you again for this presentation. If there is no one else who has some questions, we will move to team 13, which is Blaze, and it's another multidisciplinary team. They are from Kazakhstan, Japan, and India. So if you're with us right now and if you're ready, then you can start presenting. So I guess that no one is here right now from this team.
No, sorry. I'm here.
Okay, great.
I just wanted to show
Okay.
my screen. Sorry.
We can see your screen.
Yes.
If you could go to full screen with your presentation, that would be great. Slideshow and from beginning, yeah, exactly.
Sorry, other teams, other team members could not participate. Okay. For example, I today present just a concept. For example, if you are a healthy person, you can go and buy ticket and go to suburbs.
If you could say a little bit louder, because we can barely hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's better now.
Oh, thank you. Okay, if you are like healthy people, you can go outside by buying your ticket, and for example, you can buy a ticket for bus or for taxi, and go outside, make trips with your friends, for example. But I think we don't really appreciate this ability and we don't feel really like what disabled people, paralyzed people feel. So this is just maybe it's not really like I called it surrogates. Maybe it's not really good for healthy people, but for those who are disabled, it can be like a kind of revolutionary concept. Okay. So this is Masahiko Yamaguchi, and in 2012 he presented his balancing robot, and appearance of this robot and the display was very fascinating at the time. But he was not so active during last 10 years, and not really. He didn't do any kind of. I mean, not really active, and almost recently, like he in April, he showed up publicly, like his open source code, where he was balancing this kind of person in virtual environment, and he like states that most designer approach, they make it kind of difficult because they think about each joint movement instead of trying to balance torso or upper body movement. for example, if a person leans forward, your legs have to like move forward, like in this screen, like right leg moves forward. And if you continue such like leaning forward, your other legs also had to move to stabilize the torso position. Is in this way, the problem or task can be little made a little bit easier to solve than to think about every kind of joint position at each time. It's like a pendulum problem. Okay, next I'll show you we have some experience. I mean, Denis is was leader and was pushing me forward to create a software to control this joint. It's actually a replacement for spherical joint, because a spherical joint has kind of drawbacks in terms of strength and durability. And just to show a little bit, Denis was like managing the project, and I was mostly programming. Next is what I did. I took Masakita code and put it in OD environment. This is open dynamic engine environment, and I translated Japanese commands, and there was a lot of errors because the environment was from 2010, and today there's a lot of change in the alterations in code. So I was able to make less errors in the code. And here you can see Masahito's robots. You can see they can walk and also they can balance on bike. Also, finally, I was able to get rid of most of the errors and to start the application, but not quite controlling it yet. Also, here is a different design approach. This robot was made by designer Gail Langevin. You can see at the right side, because he is not wasn't real a programmer, but mostly like designer for different companies. He was able to produce very beautiful robot, and he had like experience in like mechanics, and most notably he produced a robot which can be printed in a very small size printers. You can see at left side that I bought and assembled a small printer, and I started to like assemble right hand already. Yes, and you can see the look, it's different than this robot is made by a robotics engineer mostly, and this robot is made by designer. It's different in appearance, but the problem with his robot, he don't have good walking legs yet. So you can see on the upper picture that there's a lot of robots made. Why? Because it was open source, almost like I think 6 years or 7 years, and we have a lot of we have big community and a lot of in-move robots all around the world already. And this is just a vision. How I see the project in the end. This is kind of a helmet, and whereas electrode is like hidden, and also some virtual reality. And also here is human-like robot, but I don't have ability to produce such robot yet. But if we find someone some teams who want to cooperate with us, it will be very beneficial. At the third picture, you can see the what person sees, and it's not like it was taken from a Robocop movie, but for example, if you have two cameras installed in the head of the robot, you can create presence and emerging appearance, and also VR control can control head movement, and also you can see this red, blue, and purple boxes. They flash with the different frequencies starting from 30 hertz, and by this way you can choose the actions, and also motor imagery. They can be used to control like forward and backward movement, also like back, like left and right movement. Okay. Here you can see the EEG signal from the sample dataset from MNE, and you can see a raw signal, and the problem is that after applying like bandpass filter and also trying to remove artifacts using like maybe independent component analysis, you still have harmonics, and you don't see a real like a stimulus signal, which is like DC impulses. I suggest to use like an amplifier in these terms. Why? Because according to Fourier transformation, I think most of you know that every signal can be decomposed to sine and cosine waves. And for example, if like frequency is different, like you can see on the upside, like sine wave and second sine wave with different frequencies. If we like modulate these two signals together, like multiply them, at the end we have also like a harmonical signal, but it's he doesn't have like offset. You can see it's around 0. And why? Because each part, this is simple trigonometry rules of calculation. You have in the two parts like cosine and other cosine and sine and other sine. Every time you have like a frequency like okay, gamma frequency. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I just forget the English for this.
Okay, can I ask you to sum up because
okay,
you're
and then but here you can see if you multiply two signals with a similar frequency, you can see that we have like cosine theta 1 minus theta 2, which is phases in both parts, and it creates DC offset. You can see, yes, here, yeah. And after we have this cosine and sine part, at the end we can use trigonometry rule and derive the signal value. Why we don't have a reference signal at the end? Because we know the reference signal we generated by itself. It's not stimulus signal, but it's a reference signal with the frequency equal to reference signal, and that's why we know the voltage value. This is what I did in the master, and here you can see 50 millivolt signal incorporated with two like 200 millivolt noise, and after the login amplifier, it was able to derive the DC value. For example, you have 25, but it's related to average value. And then at the end, I have like this this task maybe seems like very complex, but if it's really important to try, it doesn't matter if what the if you have failures or not, like
Yeah, so thank you very much for your presentation. Is there any questions?
Sorry.
Yeah, I think no one has any questions. So we will move to our last, but of course not least, presentation, the Thrive team. It's a team that consists of people from Poland and the United Kingdom. So if you're ready, then the stage is yours and you can start your presentation.
Hello, do you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, we can hear you and we can see you.
Okay, so I'll start the share screening. Okay, so I'll just start with presentation part, and I'll introduce you to the idea that I have come up quite long ago, but I was thinking for a while if I want to pursue this idea and how I want to pursue this. So it's been with me for quite a long time. And this is an idea for an app that will improve life of women, and it's the target group of this application. So I hope I can help you understand the major concept and what's behind this. So this is supposed to be a therapeutical medical mobile application, because I want it to be seen as a medicine and as a tool that is based on the research and actually the neuroscience background, right? And I want it to be a safe space for women to develop and grow, both mentally and professionally. It shall support women as they adapt to this new pandemic reality and building their desired future. As a woman, I've been all my life quite ambitious, and I've graduated from 2 faculties, one in English, one in Polish, basically in finance. So it's quite new field, neuroscience for me. But this interest came from my personal experience with mental health issues due to the fact of the personal experiences with rape, and this was during my studies with the guy from the campus, the PhD student, and basically I have gone through quite a long road to learn how to help myself, because there were no such tools available for me to find the knowledge and the right therapy. And actually nobody was so much interested in helping me because it was a topic of concern and, how to say, stigmatizing concept at that time in Poland, especially in Poland, because I think that in other countries around the world, it was already a topic that was being raised, but not necessarily here. So, and actually it's very important also to establish a platform that will allow women to talk about their skills, and not necessarily the idea is behind me to show us as victims or show us as somebody who is less fortunate or less capable. I want to switch the thinking and focus toward thriving and toward our own skills and possibilities and opportunities, because we are very well educated and we have nothing less than a man. And I think that showing our skills is equally important as taking care of our mental health. So around my research, when I was looking for the right method to help me establish my career and growth, nevertheless, my mental issues, was the future-directed therapy. And this method is something that is based on the neuroscience background. And basically, it's based on the predictive coding. So the predictive processing as a theory of brain function, in which the brain is constantly generating and updating a mental model of the environment. So we basically base our actions, behavior on the basis of our prediction, what's going to happen, right? So by thinking about the future and what we want to achieve, we generate the right actions. But if we believe, we anticipate that an action will be successful, then we take up such an action. If we think that this will be non-successful, we will not take an action. And basically, just as a test of this rule, I have a question for you. How many of you, and you don't have to answer like verbally, just think about it, okay? I want to ask you, how many of you would like to win in lottery?
I would like.
Great, thank you for the feedback. And how many of you have bought the ticket from the lottery in last week?
I didn't.
And the person who said that he wants?
I just had some kind of bonus from a shop, just that.
But was it something that you had to like physically buy, like go and buy the ticket, or it was just by accident? I mean, lottery, like $1 million, like this kind of lottery. I want you to go and buy a ticket to win a lottery, the real one. Have you done that?
I can do it only to make my mood better, but I don't think I can win.
Okay, so the concept here is that that you don't believe that it's possible that you win, right? So
yes.
That's why you're not taking an action, right? And that's the concept behind the whole therapy, the new wave of therapy in cognitive-based therapy. And this focus changes from changing our thoughts into to focusing on changing our expectations. And we can do that by changing, there are like the Janice Wilhauer, who's the idea creator of this therapy, has published a book, Think Forward to Thrive, where she established some kind of methods on how to do that. While I think that to explain you a more general concept, I think that this method is more focused on the behavioral part. So I think that by taking some action, we start to increase also our expectations about how the possibility of success can, really increase. And there is like a loop, like you can just start improving your thinking about the future just by taking a small action, just by taking, just even simple affirmation. I know that affirmation is something that you would think it's not working, but maybe this affirmation could cause you to take a small step, just very, very small step to take you forward. And then your body will see, okay, I succeeded with this one, so maybe the next step wouldn't be that hard, right? And then comes the question why so many therapies and so many other like concepts are so much focused on the past, because the thinking about the past where we were not, let's say, very happy, or something is causing us troubles and we have problems with sleeping, anything else like that, thinking about it will cause us to have negative emotions, and then another, like, negative emotions can stop us from taking action, and it's really very vicious circle, right? And so here we have the method that is just stopping, just let us stop think totally about the past, and right now we can focus and recalibrate our thinking about the future. Because when we think about the past, we can like actually recreate the past over, even without even realizing it. And when we want to start something new, some new project, we are thinking about it from the scratch, and we don't necessarily will continue doing the same thing, right? So
okay, just one thing, your time is up, so if you could sum up it really quickly.
Okay, so just I want to create the community, and the business model of the app itself is cooperation with corporations on CSR initiatives. The second part would be freemium model app with access to some premium content that will be paid, and the therapist marketplace as a third part of it. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for sharing your story, because I think we all will have something to think about. And does anyone have questions?
Yes, I have a question, because there are several applications regarding mental health which were developed and last year during the pandemic especially. And what is the advantage of your application while comparing it to other applications which are available currently? And my second question is that, is the therapy which you were which you were presenting us, is the therapy well validated and proven? And because in several countries there are some regulations regarding the therapies, psychotherapy at all, and like, how do you consider that?
I mean, firstly, to answer your question about the other apps that has come to market, they are some of them are mainly the marketplace, and some of them are just giving the they are not specifically designed for women. I think that this topic, and I think it's not just simply designing something just for women. And I think that it's just the beginning. You can design an app for men as well, specifically for their needs. And because the target group and the way you design product, it's very closely matched together, right? And you need to make sure that users will actually use the app, right? And the more connection with the people, the real people you get in it, the better chances that the people will not stop using it. And I based my idea also on an app called Noom that is very popular in US, that is more in the diet field, because this app is very successful, first of all, in this field, and I felt like this kind of app is missing for the people who are struggling with mental health, basically, right? So we got tools for dealing with our diet, but we don't have tools to deal with our mental health that gives us the possibility of group support firstly, like this is something that I don't see in other apps covering this topic, that you get the group support and you can be anonymous in this part, as well as you can build the network on the because you can choose whether you want to be anonymous in a like group therapy, or you can also have your own personal branding presentation in the tool, because it should be working both as a networking tool and as a therapy tool. And the third thing is that Noom is also giving you this goal specialist, and I think that since this app is will be focused mostly on the future, and the achievement of goals would be the crucial part, and the behavioral part is also very, very important. So it should drive people to take actions, and it should help them with the isolation that we currently have, and it should give also the help necessary to use also something called post-traumatic growth, because in many instances people are comparing what happened in COVID time, the pandemic, and the grief around the pandemic state with PTSD, because we are currently, all of us are, we are kind of losing what the world, the way we saw it before, as a safe space, and many people are kind of changing their life. They have to change their careers because they lost their jobs, and at the same time, some people are dealing with it quite well and making huge progress. And I want this app to help people who have these struggles to be able to go and learn how to improve their lives, no matter the traumatic experience with COVID and with making our world like upside down within a year, right? So that's something that I want to cover as well here. And you mentioned whether this, as a second question, you mentioned whether it is
whether the therapy you mentioned is well validated, and like because you presented that there was a comparison of this therapy to cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah, because this is the article
of significance. I saw it, and with a moderate correlation. But I wonder whether like it is like somehow regulated in some countries, that what kind of therapies are okay for depression, for example, or anxiety, and how you address this issue.
So I've already talked with Jenny Zwilhauer about my idea, and she has completed the research on that, and the results that I've presented in the presentations, the presentation are from this research. And she had published the article in many papers, also in neuroscience field, because it's basically one of the not many therapies that is based on the findings about how our brain works, not necessarily just the theory of psychology, just more into the physicality of the brain, right? And here is also a challenge for me, because what is my dream about this specific project is to run a research myself by using the app that I will create to check the validation of this particular method myself, and to add to the list of researchers that are covering this method so far, because it's brand new, and I feel like it's very promising, and I feel like I want to also, because the way you attract people to new therapies is a lot of work, and in network, in community work and sharing the content about it and just speaking about it and taking part in events like this, for example, and as well taking the lead in sharing sharing the results. So that's something that I want to participate in and make sure that I can help other people to learn, to get benefit from how much we know already about the brain and how can we incorporate knowledge about neuroscience into psychology and therapy.
I have a question. Is this a product that is already on the market?
Well, I mean, I was taking part in hackathon with the general idea of hackathons. So
Okay.
this is an idea that that I had in my mind for a long time, but I just felt like maybe I wasn't ready to share my story behind it. And especially this is very, very difficult because I'm aware that I will hear things that that are blaming me or somehow putting in doubt my experience, etc. And but I just wanted to thank you very much for the words of Harrison Canning during my talk with the mentors, because I felt like he is a kind of role model of how you can talk with a woman who had such an experience. And I totally think that his background, and I think that his cultural background is just giving him more help about it, but definitely he nailed it. And I think that it's what I want to do is to give to share positive role models and positive message, because talking about problems like PTSD or rape or even COVID time, we can talk about it in a very negative way, but I want to do it in a very positive way with so that I can give actually hope to those women, and I can raise attention to how to avoid such situation. And not necessarily, I don't want to blame anyone, and I don't want to put any pressure on a man that they should feel guilty or something, because I think that it's equally difficult experience for them. I'm not saying that I don't see them as someone who is guilty of that, but I'm just saying that it's very difficult for them. And my experience was that the guy who did the first time was just resigning from his PhD studies because of the situation. So by himself. So he was kind of putting himself, really taking responsibility of his actions. And the second guy, when the second time it happened in my life, started to cry. He was basically disappointed by himself, and he was kind of shocked by what he has done. And the experience for him was just damning about himself. And when he realized, I think that I mean it's hard to explain like what can happen in the man's head in such a short time, but he started to cry, and I was the one who was helping him instead of the other way around. So I just think that I don't want to blame anyone. I don't want to put anyone in the circumstances when somebody needs to how to say that they're sorry for me. This is not something I want to hear right now. I want to make sure that our other women will not have such an issue. And I want to make sure that other women will not victimize themselves by using such an app that probably will help them build their confidence, and maybe it will help them avoid such situation in the future.
Okay, so thank you very much for your presentation, and I really hope that you will be able to continue your work, because I believe it's really important. And if I think that time for question is also up. So thank you again, everyone, for participating in this event. And all that is left is to wait till 4 p.m. It's a GMT plus 2 hours for the results. And see you then on this meeting. And well, I hope you enjoyed this weekend, and I hope you enjoyed all presentations that were given today. So see you in 3 hours.
Thank you and see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.